You're the suffering under the shiny butt.
Oh, I'm the suffering.
You're the
shiny
anti.
butt.
You're the anti-shiny butt. Anyway, this is the light party, and this is Drew from who got Shanghaied for many years.
Shanghai for many years, yes.
And we met in Bangkok at the Scottish Freemasonry meeting.
Yes, at the Scottish Fitness Expo. Yes.
Expo, yeah. It was jolly good. And Drew was the wankiest person there, and I guess he thought...
I met the other wankiest person.
So we just, I mean, everyone else was trying to make business and do crap like that, and we were just having a good time.
And we made our own business, didn't we?
We did.
Just talked a bunch of rubbish. It was joyful,
like
rubbish
we always
business.
do. In fact, Drew has been suffering, particularly at Michael's hand, for the last 10 minutes, as we indoctrinate him
always
into...
my fault.
It's always your fault. By definition, there is no other possible explanation.
This is what kind of religion?
It's your elongation religion, self-elongation. So
The abuse I put up with.
it's the elongating tool.
Speaking of which, we're on Twitter, right? People can follow the account.
We can, I guess they can if they're silly enough. I have the most abysmal Twitter account, but it's there.
Well, that's good.
And Mr. Elon is doing great things, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Opening it up and getting rid of all 90% of the bozos that were running the place. In fact, I remember at Cisco, we had a spin out, which is actually a really good idea. And then I worked for them, and there was pretty good technology. So after I resigned from Cisco, I was
didn't know
some
you worked at Cisco.
Yes, yeah. After working for Steve for 4 years, and then other places. But coming back to business, I'm amazed you survived with most of your mental facilities intact at the hands of...
What was that?
Xi. Yes, exactly. At the hands of the Mr. Shiny Butt Emperor Xi.
Well, respect to the China and everything, because we are on live, so we'll say a lot of positive things.
Absolutely,
we send a lot of positive. We send a lot of positive vibes.
Shiny Butt's good. And you said it means Sydney.
Well,
Xhiny.
Xhiny in Chinese means Sydney.
Of course.
Yes.
So, and you're from near Sydney.
I'm from Melbourne originally.
Well,
it's kind of, Chabador.
In Australian terms, it's next door.
It's next door.
It's
yes.
not Perth.
It's not Perth. No, it's on the other side of the country.
Exactly.
It's about an 8-hour drive north, straight up the coast from Melbourne.
Oh, and you know what happened in Newcastle?
What happened in Newcastle?
I had a vision of Newcastle. This is what's his name? The Strongs. So they gathered together these talking stones from that the Westerners had bought from the tribal elders, and it was on the trip I had with Michael Tellinger, and we went to Flinders Range.
Oh, beautiful!
And there was a petroglyph gorge in private land, and we went to see it. And there were hands with 6 fingers, and toes, feet with 6 toes. And I actually did a couple of...
And how old were these paintings, they say?
80,000 years.
80,000
Because there are whales and fish there.
Yeah.
And the last time, and it was clearly a riverbed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was, I had a really good time there. But anyway, the first day I arrived, the Strongs, the 2 of them, the father and son, and I'd just flown in, put my stuff upstairs, went down, and he had all these stones out on the table. And I said, hold on. And I told him the story of what I saw when I held it. And the story was, there was a long, flat line of coast. It was maybe, 20, 30 meters high. And there were Egyptians there cultivating the land, but the fields weren't rectangular, they were square. And at that time, there was a canoe coming in with obviously a dead king and, of the original people. So in my vision, I became a hawk and I flew up. And I could see all this going on, and they were fighting with the Egyptians, but the Egyptians let them land. And it was clear that this king had this land before. And then I flew up a bit, and there was an Egyptian temple with hieroglyphs. And so I told all this to him. I think it's Ralph Strong, I can't remember his first name. But anyway, he said that's in Newcastle. He'd actually been there, and he'd found the hieroglyphs. So it's Nefertari, who was...
It's amazing they're still there. The Newcastle's quite developed.
No, but it's up, you have to go, it's in some sort of secluded area. But to get through there, you have to go through brambles and everything. It's really hard to get there, apparently. But he said it was Nefertari, who is the great uncle of Tutankhamun.
Okay.
And he was a cripple, but they went to Australia to find out the real history of the world. And this is apparently absolutely true, that the Australians interacted with a lot of the cultures because their DNA is 400,000 years old.
It's very old. Yeah.
Very, very old. Yeah,
very ancient.
Yeah, and so Tutankhamun
Closed off for so long.
Yeah,
one of the first land masses closed off in Australia. When the Great Continents. When there was, I can't remember the name of that. There was only a few continents.
Oh yes, in Pangaea. Yeah,
yes.
Split up.
And
it's actually
Australia.
Michael Tallinger said the land is exactly like South Africa. Said all the same flora and fauna. Very, very similar.
Very flat.
Yeah.
Not much mountains.
So anyway, Nefertari died from a snake bite, and so as he was in the royal family, they had to make a temple for him. And then Tutankhamun, when he was young, he was actually a reincarnation of Nefertari, and he was sent to pick up the bones to return. But he died in the storm.
Travelling to Australia.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
So that's all that.
So this is a light party.
This is a light party,
Wow.
and we all.
Now I know what a light party is.
It's
now
random.
I can explain to Noot what a light party is.
Exactly.
It's just light from us.
Well, if we're lucky. Yes. So,
Spot on, mate.
so anyway, let's talk about Noot for a minute, because Noot was one of the people.
Hello, Noot, if you're watching or you're watching the
hello,
recording.
Noot. But we've been friends for maybe, I don't know, 15 years or something now, quite possibly, when she was originally in Yoga Tree managing it. And she was also here for an Ayur session, the only one I didn't deliberately host it, but somebody who came here who was doing ceremonies, and he said he wanted to do one here. And first of all, it's like, that's not my thing. But then I was told, yeah, you do it. And I'm very glad I had the experience. And how did you meet Noot online?
A friend of mine who knew her from doing meditation things. So a friend introduced her, and she's a very lovely lady who teaches deep meditation.
Yes, yeah. And one of her teachers, who is Tudong, which means a hermit, forest hermit, she put him on because she had a national light, she put him on the light 5 times, and the 5th time he sat up and said the purpose of the national light is to change the consciousness of mankind. And he was a man who had no technology, nothing.
Oh, so we're gonna do some.
You're
light
very
work.
welcome to do a light.
That'd be amazing. Be amazing.
Will be your first time.
Yeah, my first time. I've heard about it in Bangkok 2019,
Yes,
and
yeah.
I'm here to try the Angel.
Ajna.
It's time. It's only 4 years ago.
Yeah, it was only 4
So,
years.
but you've been on doing a dark party in China.
Yeah, lights off. Yeah.
Tell us
Trying to bring
about
lights.
some of the. I mean, obviously the community must have come together.
Yeah, no, it was a very enlightening experience for all of us because you know, in some ways it was one part I never forget. It was actually really beautiful. We probably in the end of month one or something, locked in the apartments, and you know, in China, maybe in Bangkok a little similar, but in China you've got very large communities, so everyone's in the same, you know, buildings, and we're all locked in. But it's just really beautiful. Someone in another building, and everyone tuned in because it was these WeChat groups, and they said, we're going to create a party. And this guy put on this music, and everyone started out their windows, because we weren't going to go outside, started singing and clapping, and sparklers and torches, and even the people kind of guarding the building in their hazmat suits were there dancing, and it was a really beautiful little experience, you know. So, you know, there was some light in the dark as well, and that was one particular, you know, almost brought a tear to my eye watching everyone with joy, and even the people with hazmat suits dancing and sharing this community of, you know, we're all this in this together type of thing. So there was some horrible parts as well, but I'll share the light
The
parts.
good parts, yeah. And you know, I know food must have been a big issue, but I heard that people were sharing what food they had. And
Well, there was food rations sent and things like that. So there wasn't, there was food. You just didn't have choices. Like you couldn't get, you know, many certain foods and medicines, but there was food. You know, we didn't starve. There were people that had more trouble than we did. But we did have, but you couldn't get, like, you know, that type of steak and that type of chicken. In fact, we couldn't get chicken for, you know, 2 months. There was no chicken. But luckily my wife found one. But you have to buy everything in bulk. Like, you know, it wasn't like, you know, you go to the supermarket and you want, you know,
there's no
5 pieces.
distribution.
There was no distribution. It was all like wholesale type of thing, and then it'd be what's called community buying. So even one of my friends owns a pizza restaurant, and he kind of accidentally opened one of his locations, like he wasn't supposed to, but he kind of did, right? But then he could deliver the pizzas, but it could only be to be bulk to one community type of thing, right? So then that community would have to do group buy and buy like 150 pizzas.
Well, that's interesting, but in many ways that's good because it
no
builds a
logistics.
community.
Yeah, so
Like
there was
co-ops in the 70s.
correct. So there was a lot of good community and communication there as well. Yeah.
And so obviously we all knew that there was a big, like all the people protesting a few months ago, and I didn't realise
that didn't happen, but
no, I know it didn't happen. It was invisible.
yes.
But it was talked about. Let's put it that way. And you said as a result of that, things opened up. Whereas I thought that they would ignore anything.
No, the science opened it up. You don't know. It was all to do with the
Oh,
science.
science. It
Trust
says
the science.
that you lock everyone down, destroy their immunity, get rid of their vitamin D, and then let it rip.
And no, the science changed.
That's the
science
That's the
changed that the virus was no longer such an extreme virus. That the science changed, and that's why
So
China
the
Japan,
virus.
trust the science.
Japan is downgrading it to influenza, the flu
Yeah.
status.
But that's very interesting. So now
It's the same in America.
So
we
what
all
they
have to
did,
trust the science.
the CCP ordered the virus to change, and it did.
Or they had enough data to validate that no, I'm telling you, you're speaking your words, I'm speaking mine. So
Yes,
I'm saying
I'm not Shanghaied, but I'm trying to be polite. Which I'm not doing.
I'm doing very well.
But
I'm not the only one.
I know. Yeah. Anyway, we do appreciate the Xhiny, but that's the
Sydney.
yeah, Xhiny but, and particularly the fact that Xhiny but data changes randomly.
There we go, man.
Okay, well, I think that's it. Any more things that you could publicly share without being Shanghaied?
Without being, no. So how about we start the light party? 3, 2, 1.
Bing! We just did. Okay, well, I think that's it, boys and girls. Yes,
Thank you for coming, girls and boys.
girls and boys.
Thank you
And,
for coming, girls and boys, and
thanks for-
everything in between.
and you actually
Being in
came,
the woke community, you know, the woke world we're in,
I don't think we're
everything in between.
but you came straight to Chiang Mai after Shanghai to really,
To see you,
yeah, but
And
actually
attend the
more
light party.
importantly to see Noot
work.
and to clear.
Yeah, to do with some meditation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, she's great. She was a meshi, which means nun, and you know, she knows Dr. Rampara and everything. So yeah, we've been connected for a long time. Very good. Stop smoking. Okay. Bye bye, girls and boys. We have to
Bye-bye.
press
Bye bye, girls and boys.
this one.
Bye bye.
There we go.
Yes, we do want to quit.
We can never quit.